All right, well, we are here for our LP Weekly recap. And for those who this is your first time watching, every single week at the end of the week, we take our top notes that we learn from coaching, right? We coach people all day long, whether it's with groups, teams, digital, in person. And this is the top things that I got from our coaching calls with individuals. So we're going to start first with some of the busiest people that we work with that we go through and we remind them to add an hour. And people sit there and go, how do I add an hour to my week? It's not actually adding a physical hour, but what we want people to start doing is just schedule an hour or two for you. And here's what I mean by that. Our time gets pulled. It's a lot easier to give time back than to find it. And because of that, just taking an hour any day of the week, an hour each day, 1 or 2 days a week, or all 5, it doesn't matter, or just one. You try this once and you're going to get an hour to do what you want with that time, and you'll be amazed at how much more you can get done. So add an hour is what I'm going to say that one is. Listen for what they mean. Don't assume based on what you've heard. When it comes to communication, we need to try to hear what people are trying to say. This is hard, right? Words have meanings and words matter, but people don't always say what they're trying to say. A good communicator, which few of us actually are, including me, a good communicator has the ability to express their thoughts in a way that others understand it, right? Communication's tough. We have an entire program we do on this called co-communication, and why it's so challenging is because you're trying to give an emotional action, logical communication, right? So you're using an emotional thought to communicate something with a logical source, which is language. So all that being said, here's what I want you to focus on is hear what they're saying, but also take time to try to understand what they're saying. And if you don't know, or you're getting mixed thoughts, gain clarity. So instead of taking them for their word, I take them for what they mean to say, then I tie it to their words. And if that disconnects, then I'm going to ask for clarity. Again, this is one of the hardest things to do. This takes patience. This takes caring. This takes love. This is really hard to do, but that is a huge part. Listen for what they mean. Don't assume based on what you've heard. Again, take them for their word, but get clarity and make sure when you said that, is this what you meant? And if so, then we can go from there. But I found a lot of times is when you said that, what I heard was the offense I'm trying to take, but what you meant was we need to do this to move forward. Okay, I understand, and we can agree on that part. It's a really, really powerful tool that even I need to continue practicing. That's why that's so big for me. So we'll cross that off. Next thing is remembering that seasons have purpose. Seasons have purpose. And what that means is that even though it's hard, whatever you're in, there's a reason for it. And we sit there and go, oh, is this a challenging season for me? And the answer is maybe, but all seasons have a reason. They're not by accident. So your seasons have purpose. Embrace them, recognize them, understand the context of them, but don't let the context of them define who you are or what you're supposed to do because of it. Impact over optics. This is a big thing. We have Realign coming up November of this year, and we want to remind ourselves that we focus on impact, not optics. Not that we look like we're doing something good, but that we actually are doing something good. We want to focus on the impact of what we're doing, not the optics. Making sure we recognize that the second half is more important than our first half sometimes. And because of that, we want to make sure it is a little bit better. What I want to do is I want to start my first half strong, but realize I'm going to come back and get that what's called a reverse split in running. But I want that second half to be as strong or stronger. Then we're going to jump into the fact that we are going to play the cards where you're dealt, then pivot when the next card is dealt. So if you're playing a game like poker or Uno or Go Fish, it doesn't matter. We're going to play the cards that we have until a new card comes. Then we're going to play on that. A lot of times with clients, we have to make really, really hard decisions, and we try to make the perfect decision versus the best decision. See, the best decision is based on the information we have. The perfect decision is if you had all the information, 100%, all-knowing, omnipotent, then you can make the perfect decision. But what we can always make is the best decision based off what we have. So play the cards you're dealt, and if another card comes and you see it, you can change and pivot. The problem is a lot of us have our strategy for the 3 cards we see. The 4th card comes out, and all of a sudden we stick to the original strategy versus reevaluate, reprocess, and re-attack what it is we're trying to do. So play the cards you're dealt, then pivot with whatever's shown next. This next one I think is really interesting. When we are under-resourced, we need to rely on metrics, logic, and truth. So when we're sitting here, we're working with a group of people who their job is to make organizational change as individuals, meaning Hundreds of people need to change based on their individual input. And we have to scale that out as to how they do it. And the problem is you cannot do that unless you are anchored in truth, because your opinion, one versus the masses, your opinion is going to fall apart. Honestly, even presenting truth through the masses, that sometimes can be discarded, but it doesn't fall apart. Metrics, logic, truth. Take the numbers, help people understand the value of what we're trying to do, why we're doing it, get personal value tied to task, and then individuals can make massive change when they focus on getting the other people to bridge the gap themselves versus you bridging the gap for everybody. And then finally, one of my favorite lines that came up a bunch this week was slow to smooth, smooth to fast. We need to be okay slowing down, smoothing things out so then we can come back and move quick. These are just some of the things that we got this past week. I love sharing these. Sometimes they repeat. Sometimes they duplicate over again, because I always tell people truth is constant, application changes. So this week was a very, very powerful week. The biggest thing that I found this week when it came to our coaching clients was that every single person, regardless of who you are, how old you are, how much money you have, we have clients that are barely getting by, and we have clients who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And we want to focus on, regardless of what you have, regardless of the resources, we can walk you through how to get over whatever roadblock you're dealing with and bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. That takes time, depending on how big that gap is. That takes a lot of time. Sometimes those are small gaps, but we break them down to 90-day periods. And that is why we have so much of this quick kind of content that comes through. And we want to encourage you. You don't need to take huge steps. We need to take consistent steps. And that's what our coaching program does. That's what our trainings do. We show people how to take intention, combine it, and bridge the gap to structure. And when we do that, it creates what we call perpetual development, where that intention re-engages structure, that structure is re-engages the intention, and so on and so on. And you see that circle, and that's why we call it perpetual development, is the development keeps happening every single day, each time we get into that loop as we're going around and around. So we're grateful for you. We'll see you next week. These are just some of the things we got out of some of these coaching calls for me. Other of our coaches, you'll see videos out there as well, but we're grateful for you, and we'll see you next week.